Good evening, everybody. This is Scott DeCamp with CatchMark SportsNet. We are in the Whitehall podcast studio, the revamped Whitehall podcast studio, half the size that it used to be. Doing a little construction around the office here, and
it's a real estate problem, and so we've got the right guy here
we do.
to work this problem out. Right.
Use those right. You got to use these sound effects right. On that topic, we have the title sponsor of this podcast. It is Chris Wenk, and he is a realtor with Chris Wenk Real Estate, Century 21 Trophy Class. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for coming on the show, and so everyone can meet you.
Oh, not a problem at all. I appreciate you having me on board and seeing what we can talk about today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then the reason we brought the other gentleman on is because he can find ways to talk about just about anything. Mike Taylor. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here.
I can tell. At least you're here.
I'm fired up to be here with Chris here. That's good.
Miles didn't make it because he's...
Miles, right now...
He was in your good graces last week.
Now he is the coward of the county. He went from, the penthouse to the outhouse. Miles, you can't do this.
Yeah, he's the co-host on this. He's got to be here.
He is. He has an obligation, a responsibility. I got to have a chat with him now.
It's okay. I mean, he's a young guy. We'll get him right back on track.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's a funny cat.
No, he's a cool kid.
Where is he? A referee?
He's
officiating?
umpiring middle school baseball. I blame Hornsweigel for this. We got Hornsweigled.
We should have had this podcast like up in the third base line, watching him referee. Going, what kind of call was that?
We should have. That's a good idea.
We could have been live.
We could have been doing that live streaming and everything.
That was one of the worst calls I've ever seen in the history of baseball.
I hope you're watching this, Miles. I know
Yeah.
you're not right now while you're umpiring, but after the fact, I hope you feel bad.
The phrase "kill the umpire,"
Well, we'll forgive him, but we are relying on him for this podcast, and we want to have him on. He's a Whitehall junior.
Okay.
He's part of that. We were talking off camera, Chris and I, about this Sports Nuts, student mentoring, volunteer type thing, and he's also an intern for us. So we're just trying to teach him and give him some good experience. He wants to be a broadcaster someday, so.
That's good. He's not going to get a stand behind a catcher.
No, he's not. He's not. So we'll give him. He's getting some grief now. That's okay though. He earned it. So
Well, I tell you, it's Chris. First off, anytime you find somebody that will support and back, a program or a business like what Scott's got going here, that's big. That really is big for the community.
Appreciate it. I mean, they're giving the opportunity for kids to be broadcasted at a basis that wasn't allowed back when I was in school. So being able to give them that just a little bit of an experience of being out there as a visibility is something that is needed just to grow the community. So I just appreciate the opportunity.
no, we appreciate that support, like Mike
Yeah,
just alluded to. That's fine. I mean, that's what allows us to do what we do.
it wouldn't be possible.
No,
It would not be possible.
I mean, Mike knows all about this. He's been broadcasting games, and I don't know how much Chris knows about what you're doing with LCS, but if you want to kind of
Well,
touch upon that just briefly.
I kind of got involved with Chris a little bit, when it comes to, promoting and talking about what's going on with him in his life and reconnecting with him after he was a student, but when he told me what he was doing, I actually gave him some free advertising, so even though he was not a so-called paid sponsor, for 98.3 for our high school football show, I still made sure, I reached out and said some things about him and what he was doing, just because I believe, in him as a person and what he's doing. So, and I know he helps a lot of people. So it's always nice to be able to give back.
No, and Mike's always done that. He's always supported me.
Yep.
I've always appreciated that. And so, yeah, we, along those lines, the others who support us, I want to kind of just shout out some sponsors real quick on that. Of course, our title sponsor here, who we've alluded to, who we're going to dive into more on that and learn more about Chris. But Big Stone Therapies is another sponsor. Rescue 2.0 LLC, Grieve Law, Edward Jones with financial advisor Brett Atkins, Coldwell banker Woodland Schmidt, David
And Brett
Dusenberry.
Atkins, there's another.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see when his movie, his life story comes out.
We got to have him on too. He's got a great story.
When they make the Brett Atkins story, okay, right now I can tell you who's playing him. Danny DeVito, okay? Will play Chucky. Yeah, that's him.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we got to figure out who would play Chris
Yeah.
in the movie. Who would play me?
And The Rock, and but I
not paying you,
remember
Mike.
when I was Dan Roan's defensive coordinator over there at Fremont, Brett Atkins was on that staff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he coached with us for a year.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Solid guy. So we'll talk. We'll have him on the podcast sometime here
He's
too.
got like 10 kids now.
Yeah. No, he's doing all right for himself too.
He's been father of the year for the last 12 years,
I thought 2 was much. 10?
Yeah.
I've got 3.
Oh,
That's
my
three girls. So.
Oh, he's got, yeah.
So we also have Farm Bureau Insurance, the Kenny Agency, 5-star real estate leaders with Matt Parker, the Birdhouse, Scheid Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, Greenridge Realty with Chris Teichman and Sarah Real. And then, of course, it always comes back to Chris Wenk, Realtor with Century 21 Trophy Class. And on that topic, let's get to know Chris. Where are you from? Hometown, high school, graduation year.
All right, so born and raised Oceana County. Graduated 2006 from Shelby High School. Got away for a few years. Went to Muskegon Community College, Grand Valley. Decided to come back to the area. Worked at Peterson Farms for 12 years.
What'd you do there?
A little bit of everything.
Did you?
Started in the recycle department, worked my way up into a supervisor role, then into some management positions before I ended up getting into real estate. Thought I was going to do real estate part-time. Did it for about a year and then took the leap of faith and never looked back, actually.
How was, when you make that commitment, you go from, into sales, so to speak, from Peterson, where you're getting every Friday or every other Friday a paycheck for, whatever amount. That's hard. That kind of falls on somebody. You got to be pretty motivated as an individual to take that on.
100%.
Right.
Really comes down to you can't fail. If I was used to working 8 hours, 10 hours a day for somebody else, I might as well be able to work 10, 12 hours a day for myself.
Yeah.
What I really found is I don't consider it work anymore. When you get up every day and you're doing what you enjoy, it's not really work. So to me, it's helping people buy property, sell property, give them resources or tools or just education on what is out there. The biggest thing is just giving them tools and information because people don't know.
Can you talk someone, Chris, into selling? I mean, if you sit down, if you go to, a small restaurant or something, you get into a conversation about, I'm a realtor, and could you say, let me tell you about your house. Every 10 years, it's healthy for people to move.
I would say it depends on the person's situation. But yes, I think once you give them the tools and the information and let them have an educated decision, most likely they're going to decide to sell because you are correct. Every 7 to 10 years, people are most likely going to move. Your appreciation is going to be anywhere from 3 to 5% on a yearly basis. You're paying it down on a regular basis. So after 5 to 7 years, you have a lot of equity that you're going to be able to utilize to do something different with.
Yeah.
I believe it's healthy living in a climate like we do in Michigan. You have 4 seasons, okay? I think the change is good. Absolutely. I think, that repositioning yourself financially through real estate, I think it's a great move.
You are 100% correct.
And I think by, take care of where you're living, work on it, keep the place up, and then, make that move in 10 years. I think it's healthy.
Some people like to set roots. Some people like to take the change. My wife and I have moved, 5-6 times in the last 4 or 5 years.
You're done for a while, though.
Oh, we're done. We're done moving for a while.
I've seen your house.
But it's the steps that it took to get there.
Exactly.
It took risk. It took us uprooting. We lived in a camper for 4 months during the summer while our house was getting built. Mm-hmm. It's not the most ideal thing to do, especially when your 7-year-old is there, your wife is pregnant. It's not really the best thing to be doing, but took a chance, and I think we're enjoying it, of course.
So would you live out of the area for a while then? Come back or no?
No, so I lived in Muskegon, down in the Norton Shores area, and then I went down to Allendale, and then came back.
No.
So mainly Oceana County for 33 of my 35 years.
And what is it about Oceana County that, what's the pull for you to keep you there, to bring you back and keep you there?
I would say growing up, I wanted to get away. I didn't want anything to do with staying around here because it was small town America. Everything got around really fast, and you didn't really want anybody knowing your business. But once you grow up and you understand the hustle, the bustle, and what is going on, I don't think there's a better place to grow a family is a small town area. We're in Oceana County, but we're also in Montague School District. So I think we still have the ability to be 15 minutes from what we need, but we're also in the country living.
Yeah.
So it just gives you a different perspective. I can go to the city, get what I want, but I don't want to live there on a daily basis.
You know, when you talk about real estate, you know, Oceana County has such a wide band. I mean, from the Lake Michigan $1 million homes to, you know, just a rural, you know, 1-bedroom, small farmhouse, you know. I mean, you cover every range of real estate.
Absolutely, all the way from vacant land to,
Yeah.
like you said, 100 feet of lakeshore Michigan frontage. You got to have a little taste of understanding from downtown Shelby to downtown Hart to Silver Lake that has, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 permanent residences versus everybody else is just a secondary home. So it's just a different dynamic of what you're covering, which is, I think I enjoy the most because it's different every single day.
Yeah. So, what was it about real estate that really? Because you said it feels like a lot of days it feels like you don't work, but what was it that really got you into it? I mean, you kind of we're starting to go down that road, but you know, you went from Peterson's to this. Was there like some turning point realization or anything like that?
I mean, I was always interested in land. I was always interested in housing, always looking at potential fix and flips. But I think the idea of being able to, one, help people with one of the biggest decisions that they're ever going to make with their life is something that also intrigued me. When I went around buying my first house, nobody gave me any guidance. And I was also very young and naive and didn't want my parents' help because I thought I could do it myself. Mm-hmm. So then I sit there and go, well, I should have gotten help from somebody, but I didn't. So now it's what can I do to help people and give them the guidance that other people need because they don't know. They don't do this every single day. But I truly enjoy the fact that some days I talk to 50, 60 different people on a regular basis. I mean, I'll go through my phone and go, really? I talked to 70 people today? Via text, via call, via email. It's just something that you don't do on a regular basis.
Mike, you talk to yourself about that many times a day, don't you?
I'm not happy with the conversation.
No,
it's not good. You know, you see at times, Chris, you see, you know, signs for sale by owner. What are the benefits of having a realtor working for you as opposed to, you know, a homeowner, you know, trying to handle all of this themselves? Of course, it's experience, knowledge, you know, and they're thinking, well, maybe I can save 5% or whatever.
Yeah, you can
You know.
save a percentage on commission, but really what it comes down to is if you don't know what your house is worth, are you undervaluing it? I mean, you really need somebody to come in and give you a true idea, and that's what we're here for, is to truly give you a true analysis to tell you what it's potentially worth, and then we're also going to be able to give you the marketing ability to get it out in front of everybody versus just the people driving by. Because the people driving by, I mean, that's a very limited pool versus everybody. Mm-hmm. So really what it normally comes down to is, yes, you can do for sale by owner, and anybody can sell real estate if they go through the steps and understand what they're doing. But it comes down to, are you losing that percentage you're really saving because you didn't understand what you had?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's really what it
You've
comes
got
down
an expert.
Right. Really comes down to is, well, they say my house is worth this much, or Zillow says my house is worth this much. Well, they don't really know because they're just taking a wide range of, hey, this is a idea of what it could be. They didn't realize you've had it for the last 50 years or 60 years, or it just sold yesterday.
Well, and right now, I know by me, we have a house that, is up for sale, and the owner had passed away, and the family's dealing with it. And I'm like, to me, it's about $150,000 house, and it's going for $275,000. And, my question was, how much oil's under it?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't see, and again, I don't buy houses often enough to understand that what the values really are. And, but it just blows my mind sometimes to see how and where that, the price is going on certain pieces of real estate.
Oh, absolutely. And then, really the biggest thing is people are understanding land. You can't create more of it. And people are really understanding that West Michigan vibe of a little slower, but also the ability to enjoy the four seasons. We're starting to get a lot of people from out of state, a lot of people from Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago moving up this way, realizing it's not just a getaway location, it actually can be a primary residence. Mm-hmm. So people are really starting to understand what we have here and actually wanting to be here versus just using it as a summer destination getaway.
How much has technology and just online presence changed things too over the years as far as accessibility and seeing what's out there?
Well, it makes people in Texas see things pop up instantly. It makes everything a lot easier for everybody to truly be able to see. And I think that's the biggest reason why we're trying to take advantage of that social media presence is everybody has the ability to see it right on their phone. So if we're able to broadcast that and allow people to see it literally in their hand versus having to wait for the paper or having to wait for it to get on your social media posts or any of that nature, it's live. That's the biggest thing.
And I know you're a competitive person, okay? There's a lot of type A running through you. How do you see yourself setting goals for yourself? And what is something that, makes you happy and proud? I know making a customer satisfied has got to be, number one priority. But I'm saying when you could look at your monthly stats, Chris, what do you say? You know what, this is a good month. These are good months to sell right here. How do you break that all down?
In reality, Michigan's pretty much an 8-month window of the true selling period. April to October, April to November, things are going to move because people are going to be out and about because it's not winter. But true buyers, true sellers are going to sell 12 months out of the year. So when people say that there's a slow period, it's not really a slow period. It's just not as busy as what people really see when everybody's here during June 15th to August 15th, and there's a lot of extra people around the area. So to me, it's really have your house ready by middle of April, once it starts greening up, so you can present it before everybody gets out of school, and then really that 3-month period of selling before people get into school.
So you talk about the type A personality. You had him in class, right?
Yeah, I think I have all these kids in.
He said he wanted you as a football coach. You missed out on that.
And I just would. Chris would come into class and I'd go, "Hey, line them up, and you know what to do with them." I'd go, Sports Illustrated in the corner.
How often do you think about those days back in Shelby? And again, if you could let everyone know what sports you played and that competitiveness that that those sports and other opportunities would draw out of you. How much do you think about those days, and how much do you think that kind of set the stage for what you are today or the person you are today?
So varsity football, varsity baseball, played basketball up until varsity, which I really dictates a lot of things for me is very competitive, wanted to be one of the best, if not try to be the best at anything that I could do. Going into a atmosphere my junior year of sports, trying out for basketball, realizing that if I made the team in my mind, I was going to be a bench warmer. I was going to be a number 12. I wasn't going to be somebody that was playing because of all of the people that was already ahead of me. So I went into that atmosphere with a very bad mindset.
You came up at a time Shelby was very good.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
Basketball,
Basketball was very good. Baseball was very good. Football, we were trying to become up and coming. So in my mind, it was go there, do what I wanted to do, ended up not making it. I love basketball. It's one of the sports that I wish I should have played, but it's because I had a mindset in my mind that I wasn't good enough to play, that I went in with a bad attitude. But also, it drives the fact that you get what you put into it. And I didn't put anything into that. I also figured out in life that you have to work to get something out of it, and people are going to realize that also. And I wouldn't have had that if it wasn't from sports.
Yeah.
And that's really what gave me the drive that I had, was understanding you have to put the work in to get what you wanted. And that atmosphere, I didn't do it because I just had my mindset that I wasn't going to make it anyway. So not why try?
All right. Thoughts on that?
No, did you, when you were a senior in high school, did you think, I don't know if I want to go to college or not? I mean, how were you on that?
I mean, in all honesty, the only reason I went to college is because I thought that's what we were supposed to do.
Right.
I mean, really, it was go to high school, go to college, and get your degree, go find a job, and then you work for the next 30, 40 years of your life. So I went to college to get the experience, do what I was supposed to do, and I ended up coming back, finding a job, thought I was going to work for 6 months, 9 months, make enough money to go back to college. Ended up working there for 12 years. I understood that I could get more out of it because I was working on myself and getting things back versus just going to school and not really having an understanding of why I was there, if that makes sense. And I think right now, if you want to go to school, absolutely. But that's not what you have to do. You can go do a trade. You can go learn things and get behind people right away versus just learning things. So, I mean, it's just a different atmosphere, I think, now than what it was when I was growing up.
Well, and again, I get in this conversation a lot with people about what they call higher education in college. 75% of the classes you take in the college to acquire a degree pertain to nothing you're going to be doing the rest of your life. I remember Coach Schembeckler telling us, when he was a freshman, he took a speech class and flunked it. Okay, he flunked a speech class, and now he was being at the time asked to go around and speak, and was making hundreds of thousands of dollars for each speaking engagement because he was able to talk about something he had a passion for. Okay, so college is a business. Their objective is to get you to come in. Okay, and they don't want you to leave. They don't want you to leave. They want you to stay in their dorms. You eat their food. I mean, because they're taking money in. It's a business. So I tell kids, if you really want to go to college, your objective now is get out. Get in there and get out as fast as you can. You take classes in the summer. You take classes in the spring. You're allowed to take classes online. You do whatever you can to get out of there in 3 years. Get a 4-year degree in 3.5, go. Because you see people, they drag it on, Chris, 4.5, 5 years, 6 years, and again,
7.5.
And again, take a look at how many times kids go and get a degree, then end up not even using that degree, okay? And I've got a son graduating in 2 weeks. Okay, and we have these conversations all the time, and he's coaching football up at Northern Michigan, and I told him, you better have a plan, and don't wait till, the day you graduate. Your senior year, you better start having a plan. You better formulate a plan, because when you come home, and I told him this, when you come home in 2 weeks, if you don't have a plan in place, your picture will be on a milk carton, okay, because you're going to come up missing, okay? Do not wait till then. And so I know in the last 4 months, 5 months, that process, where he's putting applications out, looking and see where he wants to work, what he wants to do. Is he going to stay in coaching? Is he going to get out of coaching and use his degree? That's why your situation is unique in that, yeah, you know what? You went away from college for 12 years and then realized, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do.
Well, and typically, if you want to go to college and you're not 100% sure of what you're going to be doing, go to community college. Go somewhere where it's not going to be as expensive.
Yeah.
Because really,
It's a good business move.
I mean, it's the smart.
That's what I
business
did.
move. I mean, I was lucky enough that I didn't take debt out. I didn't get any student loans, but that was because I decided, let's go to community college, something that we could work and afford it.
Well, and don't the kids in Muskegon County get the promise?
Yeah, that's
You
what my
know,
daughter is doing right now.
You know, why would you not take advantage of that and get all the other stuff out of the way?
Right.
Well, that and you get the taste. You get a little bit of an idea. You get that maybe a little bit of freedom. Maybe you don't have that big debt that you're getting right off the bat.
Yeah.
Well, we told my oldest daughter who was going to go to Western, she's at community finishing up. You can get that going away to school experience still in these next couple of years, and then she'll have to go to grad school as well. But yeah, for her major. But yeah, that's we told her, and she's saving a lot of money doing it.
So are you.
Yeah, yeah. There's that too.
Yeah. And again, but that's interesting how you said that's what they did. You know, you graduate from high school, you go to college, then you find a job and you work for the next 30, 40 years, whatever.
I mean, that was kind of the mindset that I was brought up with, and I thought I was doing the right thing.
Tell us about the household you were brought up in, mom, dad, you know.
So mom, dad both worked at Helmet. Both of them were fortunate enough to retire from there. I think 30 years and 25 years. So I mean, blue collar, hardworking people, understandable.
And the philosophy they raised you in the house, you know, who's the disciplinarian, and was there that discipline in the house, the tough love maybe, you know, brothers, sisters?
So I got two older brothers, one sister, from a different mother. So didn't really get to have that engagement growing up to an extent. But the disciplinary, of course, my father. My mother giving me the little bit of leeway. I think my father to this day would tell you when I graduated high school and I left for the first time, he wouldn't have known if I was going to make it or not, if I was going to succeed, because I had it semi-easy. You know, I was the baby. They were giving me what they felt was right. He pushed me when he could, but he'd also get pushback because, well, he's the baby. Let him do what he needs to do. He's going to be off in college when he needs to. So for them, it was a little bit of fear. They didn't know if I was going to be able to make it or not.
So does this happen as a parent because you're tired of you've raised all these other kids? You're like, whatever, just let them do what they want, or is it also because they're in a better place financially where they can maybe provide different things? Because I think that's natural too in some ways. I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
It's just, it all depends on the content of the character of the people raising you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a lifetime football coach, you know, you approach, you know.
You also reap what you sow.
You know, and again, my wife and I get in this conversation because, you know, sounds a little bit like your mom in that, you know, she was more concerned about sometimes being friends with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need another friend.
Yeah.
You know, they need guidance right now, and not 8 hours a day. Okay, 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so this is the way it was. This is the way it is. You know, you establish that, you know, the law of the land, and you know, there was no gray area for me. You know, there was no gray area. My father was a football coach, and I know how he raised me. You know, and my wife is easygoing. Oh, the kids. Yeah, he drove the car in the lake today. It's just fun, you know. We got to get it clean.
It'll be all right.
And again, you know, I'm unglued. You know,
I didn't know that Long Duck Dong was living in your house from 16 Candles.
Absolutely.
She drove the car in the lake?
Yeah, and you know, got shot in the eye with a BB and all that stuff. You know, but I just, you know, when you raise kids and now you're in that situation at home with young ones, and they're in their formative years, and you know, remember, kids are products of their environment.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what I was concerned with. What kind of environment are we providing for these kids? They got food, you know, they've got a roof over their head, okay, they got clothing, okay, and these are the things I'm obligated not only to bring them materially, But there's some other things that really go, making sure that they're disciplined. They understand I'm not doing this to them, but for them.
Right.
Sometimes your partner might be not thinking on those terms. Let's just have a good time and let's not ruffle any feathers and, why'd you yell at them like that? That kind of stuff. Why'd you, you're kind of hard on them, So again, and it all depends on the content of your character, but just remember those kids are a product of their environment.
Follow through is really important too, right? Because I've been kind of getting better about getting on the kids, but then there's part of me is like, did I come down on them too hard? And then talking to other people like, no, stay strong with what you're doing. Don't cave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's so easy to cave because you get those feelings start to creep in there. Like, was I too hard on them? Like, no, that's what they need. But it's so hard for me. Maybe it's not for you because you came up through that, as a son of a football coach, you're a football coach.
Well, then what you see is you will find out in time that as your son, your daughter, they grow up a little bit, they know who to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to mom for this one. Don't go to pop for that one.
Right.
'Cause, man, this is, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Or you tell them no, and next thing you know, well,
Oh, yeah.
I want to do this. Dad said I can. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I want to take the car and go to a concert in L.A.
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen. First off, you're 12,
Yeah, no, and I mean, we're really seeing it. One is we have an age gap. We have an 8-year-old and a 1-year-old. We waited a little while to have another child, and we're starting to see that little bit of rebelliousness, or that used to be, hey, I got all the attention, I got everything I wanted, and that was our fault. I mean, we are the ones that made that.
You created it.
Exactly. Now we're trying to curb it to an extent, which is also very difficult because how do you go about doing that when you allowed it for 7 years?
Yeah, so you alluded to the siblings. You've got Jason is your brother, and he's the one. He's owner of the 2 golf courses, right? Oceana and Benona, and
So yeah, Oceana Golf Course, Benona Golf Course, the farmhouse, gas station in Silver Lake. So
he might own Mike Taylor's house and Mike Taylor too. I don't know.
Anytime he's ready to buy it, he can.
Well, don't say that too loud.
I'm like Ted DiBiase said, the professional wrestler. Everybody's got a price.
You are 100% correct.
Everybody's got a price, and you know what? If somebody were playing golf on your brother's golf course, because I live on 2T, if somebody came across there and said, "I want to buy that log home. How much land do you have?" 60 acres. You can buy this log home, and tell me what your price is. And it's not just what the value of it is now, but it's the emotional thing for me, what it's going to take me to leave, what I created. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you're going to have to pay that. And if you can pay that, I'm out.
Yep.
I'm out.
100%.
Does the Speedo come with the golf course? You didn't hear last week's probably, did you?
And the pictures, I mean.
Tell them what you do.
But again, I've had people drive up my driveway who were up here, in the dunes and everything, on a Sunday morning. Chris, they drove right up in a Jeep with 3 little kids in the back of the Jeep. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, he knocked on my door. He goes, we've been coming up here for a long time, my wife and I. Now we've got kids. We'd like to buy something around here. Would you, do you know of anything? And do you, I'd sell you this house right here if you get right here. He goes, really? He started asking me about the house. Well, we had it shipped in from British Columbia, Canada. Okay. And so he's like, wow. I said, come on in and look at it. Come on in, bring the kids. Come on in. Sunday at 9 o'clock. I took them around the house, upstairs. My wife's still sleeping in bed. And she looks up like this. And there's a husband and wife and 3 little kids standing there on Sunday morning in her bedroom looking at her. Relax. They're just looking at the house. I'm trying to sell it to them. Well, have a good time, everyone. Oh, was she mad at me for that one?
You gotta get Chris involved.
That sounds about my first one is, hey, babe, I'm going to put my house on Zillow, see if anybody wants to buy it, not thinking anything happened. 7 days later, it's what started the whole adventure.
And see, that's exactly how it is.
That's what started the whole adventure.
And I think, it's like buying a car. You're going to get, okay, I'm going to get this car, 15 grand, my first one. Then you go up to the 17,000. Then you jump to the 20, so you just keep moving and shuffling and repositioning yourself until you get really what you want.
That's the goal, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly right. And so that's why if you weren't across a client going, how about living on a golf course, 60 acres, and a log home, and the guy's asking an unbelievable amount of money. But if you got it, it can be yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's typically how it has to go. I mean, it's like you said, anything's for sale for the right number.
Everyone's got the price, I guys look at, my truck sometimes. You like your truck? I love my truck, and I'm going to buy another one when I'm done with this one, okay, because that's how much I like it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to buy this one? You want to buy, I'll sell you this one right here, right now. So, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome, but I just think I think it's fun to deal like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun to deal like that.
It gives you a different perspective. It's not what you were taught. It's not what you
and you look at your situation out there where you live in your house and the land around you that you have. Somebody's going to have to pay you a lot to get you to move. Yes. Okay, that's what the issue is. You're going to have to pay me to get me to move because I don't want to move. I like it here. No, this is what I created this and exactly the way I want it. But for me to redo all this again, it's going to take something special. So you're going to have to pay for it.
Absolutely, and that's what people forget. That's what people don't understand, especially when you do a for sale by owner. I get you're trying to save some money, but you don't understand what you truly have. You just knew what you bought it for, and knew what you built it for, and if you did it a long time ago, you're going to reap the benefits now. I mean, that's really the outcome from it. So, again, it's just a conversation piece, giving people the education so they know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So what do you remember, what in class? You had Mr. Taylor. Coach Taylor as your teacher. What class was it?
Oh, man.
Or what classes?
That would be PE. That'd be just PE.
What do you remember? What sticks out from that class? Any specific memories? Anything in general?
Mainly just teaching us the basics of learning what to do, how to do it, and the expectation of doing it right the first time. I mean, if you're doing a suicide just touch the line. That's all you had to do.
Yeah.
How many people think they can just cheat it by so much when in reality, who are you cheating? Just yourself.
All right. But what's the expression again? If you can't do it right the first time, then why are you gonna how are you gonna do it over again? That I butchered the statement, but you get what I'm saying. Do it right the first time, set that expectation, and then you don't have to worry about fixing it.
But with these guys, did a lot of the kids up there. They wanted to go. They wanted to go. So you just got to give them, let's go. It didn't take much motivation. It didn't take, I wouldn't say, any great teaching technique. You just had to be somewhat organized. These guys did the rest. I'll tell you this. We would play in the middle school. I would have like hockey. We would play hockey, and we had sticks, and we played with a foam ball, an altered ball. So if you got hit with it, but we had goals and everything. These kids played so hard. The girls played hard. I mean, it was very, very competitive. Okay, and then I would do stuff. I'd put a scores table there. I would keep stats for the classes and everything, and I would go this next, because I think we played like 3 or 4 minute periods, right? Mm-hmm. I would say this next 4 minute period, it will be broadcast in, because I'd have a megaphone there with a bullhorn, so the kids could hear their names and stuff when they're playing. Shot by Johnson, wide, and I'd go, this next period will be announced in Japanese. So then I'd be going, and I mean, the kids are just dying, okay? But then we would have, like the last day of school, before Christmas break, we had National Barbecue Chicken Wing Day. Mm-hmm. I let the kids all bring chicken wings into class. And, we just did some of the stupidest, craziest things. But again, you wanted to get across your message to the kids. Just be active.
Right.
Just be active, okay? But they brought their A game through the door, and it made it fun for me.
Yeah.
I'd go into school a half hour early, just open up the gym.
Well, it makes it easy when they want to be there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to teach anything when the kids are excited to show up. and they want to do what you're doing, and they're buying into what you're doing.
Oh, it's just, and my last year up there, they said, hey, coach, what do you really want to do? Is anything? Yeah, I'd like to teach elementary because I did the college thing, the high school thing, the middle school thing. And, I can say that I had kids at every, on the spectrum, in education. And them little kids, man, them kindergarten, first, and second graders, they're brutal, They're brutal. I'd stand there at that class in the door. They'd come by me and they'd just run for their spots to line up. And those little kids would punch me in the stomach, and they'd hit me. And the last girl, Ashley, was like the mother hen of the class. And I've got so many crazy things that happen, Chris, and you're going to see this in real estate too. Oh my God, did I have a crazy one today? But this Ashley would come up, Scott, and she would go, today Bobby got a timeout. Chrissy got sick after lunch, and so-and-so, John over there, he was late to school today. And then, so she'd always come up and hit me with all this stuff, that happened so far in the day. And then she goes, Coach, one day she goes, can I tell you a secret? And I go, it's a good day for a secret, Ashley. And she's only 3 foot tall. And I'm standing there looking down, and she goes, the class all lined up waiting, but she was always the last one. And she stood there in front of me, and she's looking up at me, and she goes, good day for, she goes, can I tell you a secret? Good day for a secret. What is it? She takes her hands, and she rubs my stomach real carefully like this. And she goes, Coach, the class and I have been talking. We think it's going to be a girl. I'm like, we're just hoping it's healthy. I mean, you know what I mean? But you never know what kids are going. You know what I mean? Kids are going to say.
You are 100% correct.
And but what these guys brought to the table, motivated me. If I wasn't coaching football in that school, I didn't care. These guys were too much fun. I'd go home, man, and I'd just write down stuff that happened during the daytime. And it was a gas. I mean, it was a gas. And I still see a lot of these guys. I mean, Jimmy Current and Brandon Pranger and all these guys, they stop over my house all the time. All these kids I had in class.
Isn't that what it's about?
It is what it's about. Mm-hmm. But see, it's about relationships. And that's why he enjoys what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay, because he's a people person.
Same with me with my job. And, being out and about, covering things, that's my favorite part of it.
Absolutely. Like you said, though, being out and about in front of people, having conversations.
For me, that's where it's at.
Just knowing something different.
Yeah.
Every day is different.
But could you see yourself, okay, you sell real estate, okay? And, I mean, you are in the real estate business. Could you do cars?
Yeah, probably. Probably. I mean, it comes down to just having a personality to be able to talk to people and give them education on what they're getting ready to potentially buy or sell. So, I mean, yeah, I think it comes down to being able to change your personality to the person that you're dealing with at that time. And I'm a people person. My wife would more call that a bullshitter. But and that's really what it comes down to is you got to be able to talk to people.
Well, and in real estate, it's funny because I don't understand real estate and know it. It's not, I mean, I enjoy it. I wish I knew more about it. But being from around this area, I think in real estate, that gives you an edge on your competition, so to speak, because of the history you have involved. You know the area, okay? And there's nobody that knows the area like you, okay? So you can advise people, hey, they live in Grand Rapids right now. They want a summer place. I can deal with that.
Right.
Okay? And I can tell you what the price range on things that are, if they come open or whatever. But the market moves fast. And again, 10 years ago, Chris, I don't know how many, jobs, your company, Century 21 had listed. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it now, the market is tight.
Right, yeah, and I mean, there's just nothing out there. And if there is, if it's priced right, and if it's in a location that is desirable, it moves very quickly. So you got to have people knowing what's going on, so you don't miss out on something.
Right, and do you see when something comes open like that? Do you work for the seller?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so on the selling side, you're always working for the seller, but you also can work for the buyer if you're representing them on the buy side. So it all just
okay.
depends.
Yeah, and so that's what that's what's interesting is, man, you got to know, who's working for who and what's happening there. So that's good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm not leaving you. I'm just adjusting my headset.
yeah.
so-
You're undressing.
So who'd you play football for at Shelby?
Ooh, so a couple different coaches. Coach Bruce Mann, Coach Brian Balding, and then Coach Lorenzo Rodriguez right before he had his nice long stint there.
Yeah.
He would have been one of my last coaches.
And then there's only been one coach for forever at Shelby in baseball. Brian Wright.
Brian Wright.
Played
and
for
then
BW.
Same thing for basketball.
Yeah.
Mr. Coach Zulik.
Yeah.
So let's start with Brian Wright, just because he's still there, and and it is baseball season. What are some of your better memories of that?
Same thing. It's just the work ethic and understanding of the expectations and knowing that you need to be there and put the time in. And you might do it wrong, but they're also going to help you to figure out how to do it right.
What did you like about baseball?
Oh, man, just being outdoors. Baseball was more of I would say, a secondary sport or a third sport for me. More just having the activity. Played outfield, pitched a little bit my senior year. So more just being around the guys.
And did you find yourself, Chris, going out for sports like that because of the friends you hung around with played?
To an extent. I would say football and basketball was more I wanted to be there. It was something that I didn't care to be. Didn't matter who I was around. It was just wanted to be there. I think the baseball side of thing was another sport, and I might as well be doing something better than nothing.
So when did you get into golf?
I should have gotten to golf at a younger age. Probably not until about 20.
Yeah.
And why?
Just didn't see
What made you get into it?
my dad.
Oh, did he?
Well,
Your dad golfed?
Well, he golfs all the time. But the biggest thing was he looked at it as you're getting older, you can't really play football.
It's a lifetime sport.
You can't play basketball. It's the one thing that you can do, and you're not going to be sore the next day unless you're golfing 100 holes in a day. But now it's the drive. It can be so easy, but yet it can be so hard. Sit out there and go, man, I shot a 39, but I also shot a 51. But I felt like I played a lot better on the back nine than I did the front nine.
Crazy.
So it's one of those things where it can be just an inch that.
So it has nothing to do with the fact your brother owns the two courses here.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that statement.
But it's also a good networking opportunity.
Oh,
Playing golf,
absolutely.
you can use it. A lot of businessmen use it. Business people use it.
I mean, I love having my business meetings out there.
Are you in any leagues?
Oh, Tuesday Night League
At
Oceana.
you?
Oceana. I don't want to be wrong when I say I think we're back-to-back champions. So, I mean, I think we got some contenders coming this year trying to dethrone
Who
us.
Is
was
Brent
on your
Rath in
team?
that league or not? Is Brent in that league?
My dad.
No?
No, Brent is in that league.
Okay.
Brent and Owen, I think.
Are you issuing a challenge to them right now? Or?
No challenge needed.
Who do you consider to be the top golfers, from Shelby in our area still?
Man.
Like Sean Pranger and Corey?
Here, Corey Parmalee, Griffins, DeRider.
Oh, Mike's.
I mean, the list can go on. I mean, all you have to do is come out to the Joe Foster Open, and I mean, you pretty much get to see 150 pretty good golfers from Oceana and Muskegon County come out to see what the golf course can give you.
And Brad Tate's a Shelby and a Montague guy. He can still swing it, I'm sure, right?
He beats me every single year in our club tournament. Somehow, some way, I got to play him before the championship, and I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is Wes? He owns the Whippy Dip. I know he golfed at Grand Valley.
It's not Brent.
Okay.
Bell.
I know he was a pretty good golfer, especially in college. But those guys, they got a Tuesday night league at Benona,
Yep.
and those guys, when they're done, then they stick around and play for the Skins.
Well, that's how it starts.
Then
gotta
it
get out
gets-
early, and then the real money.
Yeah, they get out there, and then when it's over, it's on now.
Yeah.
And you can hear them going all the way around the course.
You are 100%.
it's so
Is that before or after you play the Eye of the Tiger?
And it's so funny because my view from upstairs in my house in the kitchen, I've got a stereo, and you see people come up there in that tee, And just when they get ready, Chris, to hit, I hit that button on my stereo, and it plays the theme from Rocky as loud as it can play outside. And people,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. It's hilarious,
And that's why I alluded to earlier. And then Mike comes running out on his deck in a Speedo, doing jumping jacks and stuff.
Oh yeah, and then
That's normally when the hooting and hollering starts.
yeah, then that's when the gunplay takes over.
Is that where the expression "shotgun start" came from?
Yeah, they start yelling over toward the house. We have the house surrounded. Come out.
I don't know if you want to have your hands up or not.
Oh my gosh. So do you play a lot of tournaments, Chris? Golf now? Muskegon area, Grand Rapids, or do you?
I did a little bit before kids. Once the kids came around, really cuts back on the ability to.
Does your wife golf?
No.
She doesn't golf.
No, she won't even. Really
So what do you guys do when when you're away from work, and you just want to have some fun, free time? Do you guys travel? Do you guys? What do you and your wife?
Outdoors travel. We got a side by side. We like to do a lot of traveling through the Oceana County area. I mean, really using the area for what we have it for. We of course love to travel outside of the area. We used to go to Hawaii quite often, but now that we have a couple of kids, we kind of spread that out a little longer than what we used to. But really like to get away and get to the warm area. Sit around, do nothing, relax, because you don't really get to do that around here.
Do you see yourself 20 years from now having a place in a warmer climate for 4 or 5 months?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hopefully sooner than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather be at like 5 years than 20 years.
How important is it for you and your brand, your name, your work in real estate? How important is it for you to be involved in media like this?
Have to be. People have to understand what you do and get out in front of people, because in the industry that I'm in, that's what it's about, is making sure people understand what you're doing, what you can do, give them the education that's available, and then just be available. One thing that I try letting people know is 365, 24/7. If I am needed and I'm available, I will answer. If I'm not, I will shoot you a text and let you know when I am available. That's the one thing. Most people work 9 to 5. They're available from 5 till when. So it really comes down to being customer service based.
Yeah, and if people do want to get a hold of you, need to get a hold of you for any of the real estate needs, how can they?
231-327-4697 or Chris at trophyclassrealestate.com. Check out my website at chriswenkrealestate.com. Starting to get into the YouTube channel a little bit now that I transferred over to Century 21 Trophy Class. So trying to put out some videos, trying to get out in front of people a little more.
Yeah.
Trying to break out of the shell, if that makes sense.
A more visual.
Yeah.
Well, with social media the way it is now, you take advantage of it.
Have to. I mean, because that's really what everybody's going towards.
It's your friend.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, but we can't thank you enough for the support that you give us with this and having your name on this. Means a lot to us. And any other final thoughts from you guys before we sign off?
Yeah, when you talk about investments, like investing in advertising through this, where do you see yourself staying involved in this, Chris? Branching out,
So for me, I do the advertising with CatchMark. I do some advertising through the schools with the billboards that Matt Parker does. But then again, it's just making sure people understand where you're at and what you want to do. My biggest thing is, of course, Oceana County. But I mean, I'll branch out to Muskegon. I'll go up to Mason or Newaygo. So I mean, it's not like it's just one area. But again, it's just social media presence and being out in front of people, community events, just letting them know you're around.
Well, and it's successful. Well, your brother has had a lot of success, obviously. And he, if I'm not mistaken, he still resides or spends time out in California on the West Coast.
Yep.
And he is vested back here still in our community. Do people ask, how come you don't, you're not partnered up with your brother? You're not, helping him and working with him. And you're like, I'm doing my thing. This is what I want to do.
I think it's a combination of both, because I mean, in all reality, I probably wouldn't have made the jump into real estate if he didn't give me that little bit of a push. You got to take risk to actually get the reward, and you can be satisfied with what you have, or you can chase the carrot. It's kind of how I look at it. And to me, it is, I wanted something different. I wanted the ability to take my kid to school, pick her up from school, go to events that weren't going to be questioned by anybody but myself. So for me, I am partnered up with my brother, because if I have questions, he's the first person I'm going to reach out to, because he's going to be able to give me the best advice. So to me, it's I'm there with him. It's now just doing it a different way, if that makes sense.
Do you see your kids involved in athletics?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't push it on them. Let them get what they want out of it. But once they latch on, then we just go full bore. My daughter just finally started getting into soccer, just finally started getting into basketball. Coaching basketball is one of the things that I absolutely love. And I mean, to see the kids go from the excitement level of being down by 8 points and actually winning the game and not really understanding what they just did gives you that little bit of joy that was missing. So, yeah, no, kids in sports, I think, is going to happen just naturally, but I won't push it on them. If they want to do something different, it's okay.
I'd be like, every person I'd see, I'd be like, don't you think it's about time you moved up and got a different house? You know, I'd be always, you know, and I'm that way with certain things that I do still, you know. I don't know how, you know, no matter where you go, whether it's out to dinner and you look over at the table next to you, you know, and you know people, and you know, you boom, you go right back to it.
You are correct.
That's awesome.
If my ears perk, or if I hear anybody talking about something, I'm going to have a conversation. It's just kind of how
You never turn it off.
No.
That's great.
No.
See?
It's true.
It,
It's kind of how I think about things too.
well,
Always looking for opportunities.
Absolutely.
Almost every moment an opportunity, basically.
I mean, and really, one thing you have to understand is opportunity based, but be different. How many people would think of starting up a secondary business doing ATMs? Put it that way. Bill Welch, who would be able to attest to it, is I have an ATM there. Why? Just a side business, just to do something different that nobody would tell you to do, but it's just something that is available. So it's, again, just teaching kids how to think outside the box. It's kind of, I think, the biggest thing that I want people to understand is you don't have to do it the way that everybody's done it for the last 100 years. You can figure out your own way. It's just going to take time, effort, and a little bit of motivation.
People get trapped in the old ways of thinking, myself included.
Yes.
Well, and again, you know, the baby boom generation, you know, the curtain's coming down. And right now, there's a new sheriff in town, you know, and you gotta roll with the times. You got to roll with the times. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I tell you what, we should get college credit for listening to you talk about real estate today, though.
Exactly.
And how that whole thing plays out. You know, it's a process, and it's interesting.
Yeah, it's something that I think if people really sat down and took the process of the 30, 45 days or potential 3 months to go through the whole thing and actually line by line understood it, they would really get a grasp of what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times that you don't need to know what's going on, because that's what I'm hired to do. I'm hired to put out all the little fires and make sure that everything is going perfectly fine. And then at the end I go, do you want to know what was happening before we got to the closing table? So it's just something a little different. I like the every day you don't know what you're doing, but you kind of know what you're doing.
See, I can't remember that guy that's got the TV show that wears the crazy clothing and the tattoos, and my wife watches that guy. He's a loon.
I'm not sure.
He's a loon, but he shows the clients 3 different houses.
I think I know what you're talking
You know what I mean?
about now.
But the guy always wears the most outrageous, bizarre clothing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
You know what I mean? And he shows them,
HGTV probably.
yeah, and he shows them 3 houses, you know, and which one are you going to pick, you know, and all this. But that's what you need. Get a show like that.
If it was that easy.
Yeah.
If it was that easy. You know, when you're sitting
I'd
there,
rather watch you than him.
Yeah.
You know?
Got to do more of these to kind of break the ice.
You trying to say CatchMark needs to start a show like that?
I think it'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
You know,
Let's
to
think
have
about that
hold it. First off,
on the local level.
do you know how many people would
Or
watch
regional
a
level.
real estate if you go, let me tell you about our 10 favorite, if you bring them on once a month.
Yeah, regionally, locally.
Hey, I want to talk to you about our 10 best listings right now out there. You are going to have people listening. You will have people following, okay? Because people are always interested in real estate.
Yep.
And I think it'd be phenomenal.
You might have just came on to something right there.
That's right.
You might just be starting something.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, because my wife will watch it, and I watch it not because I want to see how these people think. They won the lottery, and they won the lottery. How much of the money do they really want to spend? How smart are they with their money? And, where do they want to go with it? Are they willing to go over what they really want to spend? And it's interesting how many times that happens. Well, we'd like to stay between 300 and 500,000. Well, I got something here for 580, right. And it hits all the bells and whistles. But if you came on and said, this month, these, in my opinion, are the 10 hottest selling
I see what you're saying.
pieces of real estate that you need to listen to.
We might have to do that like every other week.
You know what I mean?
We need to figure that out.
Things move a little faster.
Because if this comes with 10 acres of land, okay, and this is what the properties surround it, okay. It has a golf course on this side. It has state land on. I mean, all those things. I'm telling you, people are going to listen to it. They're Oceana properties.
Man, we gotta get with Mike more often.
I know.
It's
Well, that's why I bring him on. He's the ideas guy.
I see that.
But if you're going to do the listing on the second tee box at Bonona, be a little bit careful with that one because you got a loony that lives in that.
And as you see behind us here, the owner's in handcuffs right now, being walked off his own property, being arrested for impersonating a human and masquerading as a coach.
I'll pay the bail though because he's got all the ideas.
Yeah, and I'll
lose that.
They'll be tucking my head in the back seat, and I'm yelling, "You'll never take me alive!" It's a bum rap,
All right, well, thanks a lot, guys. This is a great discussion. Glad you were able to come on, Chris, and Mike as always as well. And let's thank our sponsors one last time for this: Big Stone Therapies, Rescue 2.0 LLC, Grieve Law, Edward Jones with financial advisor Brett Adkins, Coldwell Banker Will and Schmidt with David Dusenberry, Farm Bureau Insurance, the Kenny Agency, 5-Star Real Estate Leaders Matt Parker, the Birdhouse, Scheid Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, Green Ridge Realty, Chris Dykeman and Sarah Reel, and then our title sponsor Chris Wenk, Real Estate Century 21 Trophy Class. So thanks a lot, everybody. I hope you all have a great week.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.